Okay, so we just finished our blind contour drawings, and they probably look like a big scribbly mess, and that's okay. That's what they're supposed to look like. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move to sort of the next step, which is an observed contour or modified contour drawing. And so for this drawing, we're going to spend 80% of our time looking at the object, which in this case is going to be a flower, and only 20% of the time looking at our actual paper. So this one's probably going to look a little more like what it actually is, but we're not worried about perfection today. This is still just an exercise in learning to really pay attention to the lines. So what we want to do first, we're going to be using a flower today, and we do not want this flower. It's really important that it doesn't move or shift, because that's going to shift our point of view, which is in turn going to really confuse our brain and make our drawing really weird looking. So I'm just going to take some tape and I'm going to tape it down to my board. You guys will be using boards. I'm working just on a piece of newsprint. So I just taped my flower down. You can put a couple pieces of tape if you want, just to make sure it's not wiggling around and changing your drawing. So what we're going to do next is we're going to find a point on this flower. It doesn't really matter where you start. You could start here. You could start on this petal. You could start on one of the stamens. It doesn't really matter. You just want to pick a point. So I'm going to, oops, see, I just moved it. I'm going to pick this point right here. And I'm going to pretend that there's a little ant. And that little ant is sitting right on the very tip edge of this petal. And that ant is going to climb around the contours of the flower. So when the ant goes up a hill, over here on my paper, my pencil is going to go up a hill. When my ant goes down a hill, my pencil is going to go down a hill. So my pencil is going to have to move really, really slowly, because the ant is a really slow ant. And we're trying to capture as much information as we can. So I'm going to start over here. And again, I'm looking right here at the edge of this petal. And my ant's going up a hill. He kind of goes down a little dip. He goes up. And so I'm trying my best to kind of follow the curves of this petal. This line right here kind of bumps into this next petal. So I'm just going to keep on going. I'm following that ant's curve. And he goes down, 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 kind of to this point. And then he's going to go back up. He kind of makes a little wiggle here. And he comes back down. And then he's kind of running into this petal right here. Let me point with my pointer. He's running in, this line kind of runs into this other line. There's kind of like a diagonal line that's crisscrossing, like it makes sort of a V. So I'm going to kind of, and I'm running into my flower over here. I'm running out of room. But that's okay. So I'm just going to come down like this. And I'm following the edge of this petal. Right? And so I'm noticing now that some of my proportions are kind of getting really off. And that's the problem when we're so focused on lines. Like if we're following the edge of a line so closely, we're not really paying attention to the proportions. But remember, this is like Karate Kid, and we're just on step 2. We're wax on, wax offing right now. So this is all going to come together in the end. So I'm going to follow this line that goes up right here, and I see it kind of just disappears behind this other petal. So I'm just going to come up, and it's just going to kind of stop. And then I'm going to jump over here and follow the edge of this petal right here. That's kind of like the bottom. See how this is like, I'm pointing to it with my other pointer. So this is kind of like the top edge of this petal, right? But I haven't drawn the bottom edge yet. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to try and follow that little ant's path. Let's see, and it kind of comes down like so. Something like that. And I'm going to kind of come over and do this top edge right here of this petal. So again, like my proportions are kind of messed up, but it doesn't really matter because this is just an exercise in learning to see these shadows. So I'll just continue working. Let's see, I can see that there's the top. Y'all probably can't see it from there, but there's the top edge of this little petal right here that I haven't gotten in yet. So just going to put him in real quick. And then that bumps into this line of this petal. So I'm going to come up here and put that guy in. And a lot of times kids have a hard time figuring out like how to draw something when it folds over. If you just follow the line, then you'll begin to be able to see when something goes in front and in back. And again, if you're having troubles, you can squint one eye and that'll flatten out your depth perception, and that will turn a 3D object into like a two-dimensional sort of line so that you'll be able to see it. And that comes down behind these stamens. So the next thing I would do would be to draw those stamens in. So I would just continue working. I'm really focused mainly on the outline contours. Then I can come back if I want to and put some of the interior contours, which would be like these little sort of veins that come up the center of the petals, and then these like little kind of wrinkles that are in the petals. So like remember, it's almost like a cross contour. Cross contours are just kind of showing us how something folds in space. But at this point, I'm not really making anything up. I'm just drawing what I see. So I see there's like this stem that comes up the center like that. And then over here on this guy, there's like some little kind of small wrinkles. There's like a stem thing that comes over here. Oh, and I skipped a whole little part. And there's another little back side of that petal. So I'm just kind of working my way around the flower, kind of taking it one petal at a time, pretending that little ant is crawling around all the edges of those petals, and my pencil should be going really, really slowly, trying to capture as much detail as possible.